Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. So tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce UW-Tacoma's new Assistant Director for Alumni Relations and Annual Giving, Chana Lawson. So welcome, Chana. Thanks for joining us for this Alumni Speaker Series.
Thank you. And thanks, everybody, for coming.
So how are you doing tonight, Chana?
Doing okay. Doing all right.
Great. Great. So, Chana, tell us about the organization you work for and your role at UW-Tacoma.
So I work in the advancement department at UW-Tacoma, and my role as assistant director for alumni relations and annual giving includes a lot of different pieces. It has to do with alumni engagement, stewardship, collaborating with community partners, doing a lot of different things, supporting students as well, and helping students that are graduating, welcoming them into the fold to be alumni.
Great. So how and why did you decide to get involved in this role?
It's funny that you asked that question. I have been actually doing a lot of different things as an alumna myself of UW-Tacoma. I've been doing different alumni engagement events and supporting students, supporting student organizations. I had been serving as a volunteer on the Alumni Council at UW-Tacoma, so that gave me more opportunity to get more involved. So I have been doing this since about 2007, and I graduated in 2007, so it's almost like I never left in a sense. A lot of people said, welcome home. And I'm like, I've been here, but so there are other alumni that I'm connected to that have helped me a lot and that have also been involved. So that's basically what pulled me in, and why I decided to do this is because I was already doing it. It's just that I wasn't on payroll, but I was helping a lot of different things going on campus.
So that was just sort of a natural transition for you then.
Exactly. A natural path in my career was to move right into this, and coming from another background of working with students and also doing a lot of community work really prepared me for this position.
Great. So you're UW-Tacoma alumni. Can you talk to us a little bit about your experience at the school and what that was like for you?
When I was a student?
Yeah.
So as a student, I was very involved. I was an officer of the Black Student Union at UW-Tacoma. I did a whole lot of things with other student organizations as well. I was very involved in different classes. There were different professors that really inspired me. I stayed connected to student life because there were people there who were inspiring and motivating. I held a job, a full-time job at the airline, and it was tough because I also had 2 children. And at that time, that pretty much looked like what the student base looked like. But when I was here, the first freshman class entered right before I was graduating, like that last year. And so that's what really motivated me, knowing that there were freshmen on the campus that needed support and that wanted to be involved, and how could we make the campus a better place, as we had this new, this new thing with 4 years for students to stay for 4 years. I thought it was amazing and wanted to be a part of building something for those students and for alumni so that we could pick up and kind of support things on the campus.
Great. And what made you choose UW-Tacoma?
So what made me choose UW-Tacoma was the fact that it was an urban serving university. It was in the city of Tacoma, and I love Tacoma. I was connected to Tacoma already. But also I didn't want to make that commute to Seattle. I wanted to be a Husky, but I didn't want to make that commute all the way to Seattle. So I said Tacoma is going to be it. I worked at the airline, at the airport and everything, but I was able to commute in between without a problem. I just didn't want to go deeper into Seattle to try to get to work every day. And it was just stressful enough having a full-time job, trying to get to my classes and do everything I was supposed to do. So I decided UW-Tacoma was it. I also worked with a young lady who was very involved with the Black Student Union on the campus. And I used to give her donations and try to be involved in what they were doing. And she would tell me, you know, here's what UW Tacoma is all about. You should come check it out, because she knew that I was looking for which university was I going to finish my degree. So that's pretty much why I chose UW Tacoma.
Great. And what would you say was your most significant learning experience as a student?
I would have to say my most significant learning experience was kind of jumping into leadership on the campus and being able to do that, knowing that I could make a change and impact the community I was in. Even if I did have a full-time job and kids, I was able to do that, and with support from the campus and the community. Learning, I basically worked with a diverse population of people, different backgrounds and things like that. So that was my most significant learning experience, was how to navigate and partner with people, how to address certain challenges that were on the campus at the time, because, you know, growing pains and things like that. But that, I would say that's the most significant. And then also taking some of the courses that I took, one of them specifically, Dr. Michael Honey was teaching, was about the Poor People's Campaign and Martin Luther King. And that really impacted me and still stays with me today, and everything that I pretty much do. I look at that, the political strategies that were used during that time, how people galvanized, regular citizens galvanized in the community and came together. People on university campuses across the nation came together. So that was pretty significant for me.
Great. So what about other people on campus, mentors, professors? Who were those people in your life that enhanced the experience for you?
So Dr. Ignacio, she did gender studies, and she really impacted me. We still stay connected. I pretty much stay connected with a lot of professors on the campus. So those were certain impacts. I got to work with Dr. Adams, but it was only after I left the campus and became an alumna and was supporting a student organization that he actually came into the fold. But his impact was everywhere. I just was never able to line my schedule up as a student to be in his classes, because I had to work during those times. It was just off. But I was able to do that. I was able to go to people. The Diversity Center was key, what they now call the Center for Equity and Inclusion, and have even worked with some of the people recently over the last year, some of the new leadership that has come in there, and the staff that has known me for years now. I was able to work with them recently on a project that we did for an alumni weekend, and I wasn't working at the university at the time, but they were very, very helpful and supportive, and I felt very, very supported. So these are the impacts that still continue. I just want alumni to know, and students to know, that those resources are there and they can make of it what they want. There's always somebody that you can reach out to if you're not happy with anything that's going on, or you feel like things could be better. Definitely going around letting people know and trying to get, you know, champions on your side, and being able to use those resources is key.
Great. So if you could go back in time and do it over again, would you do anything differently?
I would have probably worked at UW much sooner. I probably, right after I graduated, would have probably tried to stay, because I was already involved and was going to stay and help anyway. So that's the only thing I probably would have done differently, is navigated my career path a little differently and gotten to this point earlier.
Yeah. So then your experience at UW Tacoma obviously influenced your career pursuits after graduation. Can you speak to that a little more?
Yes, so I've always kind of used the Career Development Center and the resources there. I was a part of like the Husky Connect and Husky to Work resource. So I've always kind of gone on campus to see what is being done now, what is growing, because you could see that the campus has grown over the years. So I was always looking to see what was new. Being connected to the campus definitely allowed me to ask questions, find out more about the culture, even after I left, because there's that culture of being a student, but then there's also that culture of, if you're working with people in the professional place, what does that professional culture look like? How is it different? Is there a fit on this campus for me to do something maybe as a community member, or if I decided to work here? So staying connected definitely helped me grow because I was able to reach out to people I knew if I had problems, or if I knew of community members who did not know much about the campus. I became pretty much like an ambassador for the campus. Some people didn't know about the resources that were on the campus, so I would share with them, or I would say, hey, you need to come over here. Let me connect you to this person. I would run into some students that might have a problem with financial aid or with their billing or tuition, and I would walk them over to the cashier's office, or get them to the right person. So I think it impacted me a lot because of how things changed over time, and just trying to stay up on what was available and how I could help.
That's so cool. So what would you say drives you to be so involved in your community?
Well, I grew up, my mom was a role model to me, and she would give the shirt off her back to help the community. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. It's a city, really urban city and large. And so she would do many things. She had us involved in the church. I grew up in the church. So my faith, it definitely says that we need to be there for each other. So right now, during this time where we have the COVID shutdowns happening, checking on people, trying to see what people need, making donations is key to help some people. A lot of people think, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that to give, but time, effort, just a dollar, $5, $25 to help somebody is, it's something that you can do. I think we've seen that in lots of different ways. I'm very proud of the campus, the students, the community, the different things that they're trying now that we're shut down and we're virtual, such as this alumni speaker series and things like that, having people engage and figure out ways that we can be innovative to help each other. I hope I answered your question pretty well.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say has surprised you most about your area of work or getting involved in the community?
Okay, so my area of work has really surprised me. I thought I knew everything about UW-Tacoma. I thought I knew it all. Being behind the scenes now and really delving in, there's a lot to learn. And I'm so happy to be here to grow and be a part of what's happening. So I would think the biggest surprise has been finding out more about my role, and also finding out just how much UW is invested in our community. I was really shocked to see different things that I didn't even know about, that I was like, oh, I didn't know they were doing that. Oh, I didn't know that they had this source over here that was actually taking care of these people over here. So there's a lot going on that I can imagine that people wouldn't know, even if they are on the campus. I think sometimes breaking down the silos and actually being willing to walk into a space that you're not, maybe it takes you out of your comfort zone, to ask some questions, that's going to be key. It's going to be amazing to be here and watch everything grow as it has grown over the years, but even bigger and better.
So what about students who are nervous about not working specifically in their field of study? What would you say to those students?
I would say that the sky is the limit. Any degree you get is going to help you in your path. You can always go back for continuing education and certifications. There are some jobs that, they just say a 4-year degree is needed. They prefer this or that. But I have actually landed in roles that I have an interdisciplinary arts and sciences degree, which kind of is complex and allows me to be a little bit of everywhere. I've taken classes in law, business, arts, sciences, you name it. But there have been people that had a business degree and they wound up being a nurse. And so anything you learn, you're going to be able to use it in your path. It's just a way of trying to figure that out, but that's where you would use the resources that are available to you, such as the Career Development Center on campus, different career groups in the community can help you, professional development, investing in yourself. I have an executive coach who has coached me through certain things when I wanted to do different things. I've been able to land in places. My minor is in education, but my major was actually in self and society, and I wound up working with Western Governors University, which is an online university, which put me in a whole different frame of what I was doing before. Before that, I was working for Northwest Leadership Foundation, which was a nonprofit in the community, but I've been able to hold, a lot of different positions and grow from that.
Great. Well, I have a fun question for you.
Okay.
If you were to compare your work environment to a TV show, which one would it resemble the most?
My current work environment?
It's a little different now with COVID-19.
I would say The Office, because you can imagine.
See some heads nodding, yeah.
Okay, this is like my third week in, and still it reminds me of The Office because we address different issues that come up. What I like about our teams is that we're always willing to solve the issues and help each other out. And so, but The Office is definitely what it reminds me of, even though we're not like in the cubicles, we're in our virtual spaces, but we're making sure that we connect and that we're teaming up. And it just makes the work even more intense, which is a good thing. And it makes me feel proud because of even just being here, going into the third week, the things that we've created together and the ideas that we've shared. It's just awesome.
Well, that's a good feeling. 3 weeks in, you're feeling good. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about COVID-19 then and how that's impacted your life and starting a new position. What's that been like for you?
Okay, so since I worked online, being in the house, working online is not an issue. It actually brings me with an experience that a lot of people don't have, because I'll be thinking of certain tools that can be used and people will say, oh, I never heard of that before. Or I'll think of ways that we can do things virtually because I've been doing it for over 5 years, but the challenge is staying in the house. Usually people would see me everywhere in the community. I would be doing volunteering, going to different events, supporting things. And because we're with the COVID-19 shutdown now, I'm not able to do it like that anymore. So self-care is the most important thing to me right now. Eating right, because definitely you want cupcakes and macaroni and cheese, and you want all the comfort foods when you're at home and can't go out. But trying to stay active. So I have committed to myself to make myself move every day. So I've been doing everything from kickboxing to yoga to walking and doing different things. I still social distance when I'm out walking, and I still wear my mask. But just trying to get a breath of fresh air and make sure that I'm not succumbing to just being a couch potato is definitely key right now. So it definitely has changed a lot of things. The effort that you have to make to spend with your family is not as hard because you're at home, so you just figure out things to do. But getting along in the space, I have a twin sister that has quarantined herself with us. And and that has been a challenge because she's like me, a workaholic that's on the computer and doing different things. And yeah, it's like, okay, finding different spaces that we have and then coming together as a family. But sometimes we're like, I don't even want to talk to you right now. Let me go take a walk.
That's where that kickboxing comes in handy, I bet, huh?
Yes, for
Some of
sure.
your frustration out. So what other kinds of things are you doing then to kind of support your mental health?
Well, believe it or not, I get back online. I'm involved with the Black Collective, which is a community organization in Tacoma that has been around for many, many years. It's a staple. There's many mentors there for me, and I've been involved with them for a long time. And I actually joined their meetings so that we could talk about what's going on in the community. So it makes me feel like I'm back at the meetings in person. We've been creating events, so there's different things that we'll do. So with my family that is out of state, sometimes we'll do like a 15-minute blast to each other virtually, or we try to dream up things that we can do. Coming up, I'm gonna do a family gathering online. And so there are elders and cousins and things like that that are in other states, and we'll be able to see their faces because I'll be inviting them to the family gathering so that we can have a little fun, maybe play a game online, those different types of things.
That's great. Okay, so one last question. Do you have a piece of advice that you would give current students, especially in light of the situation right now?
Oh, I would say stay inspired. We're going to get through this thing. We are going to get through this thing together. You will too. I know that doing your work online is not something you want to do, but once you get used to it, you'll be fine. You're fine now. It's just really just sitting down and making yourself do it. Reach out to people. Don't be afraid to reach out. If you know there's different departments out there that you can reach out to in the community online, join some meetings online that don't have to do with schoolwork. Make sure you know what's going on in your community. I know a lot of students have told me, because I've been talking to some students, that they try to have fun online, but they're trying to figure that out. Like, they knew that they were online a lot because they do Facebook and stuff, but that's a little bit different than actually interacting with something fun and interactive. And so I'm sharing with them that there are some events coming up that they can actually interact with people, do games and things like that. Try to learn something new that you can innovate, that you know that you like, even if it's just for 15 minutes. And that way you will feel like, woo, I feel like I actually went somewhere and did something. It definitely makes a difference. And don't feel like you can't lean on somebody else besides family. If you feel like I see them every day, we're locked in the house together, try to try to reach out to some friends. Don't be afraid to try something different.
Great. Well, we're going to open it up for the Q&A here. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we do so?
No, but thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Well, it looks like we're going to go ahead and, if anybody has any questions they'd like to ask Chana, you can type those into the chat, and we'll give you a moment to do that. Well, I guess I have a question. Chana, you mentioned The Office. So who's your favorite character on The Office?
Oh, I cannot remember his name. I can't remember his name right now, but it's that guy, the one with the expressive eyes. He always does this thing and he plays with the pencils and stuff like that. I just can't remember his name.
Is that Jim? Jim Halpert?
Yes. His name.
Okay.
Thank
Looks
you.
like we've, oops, sorry. Looks like we've got a few questions. Leslie Kincaid, she'd like to know, how have you used mentors throughout your life?
So I've actually used them in a few different ways. I was using them without knowing that they were mentoring me. But whenever I would need to find some information, I would reach out to them. Sometimes if they were in the area, we were at an event together, I might ask them some pointed questions about certain things like my career, and I would share my story with them. Some of them would check on me. I used to meet up with mentors a lot, and just to have coffee, take the time to build a relationship and get to know them as well, and have questions for them every time we met. But sometimes it was just having them, be a colleague for, we would have leisure time, because sometimes with the mentoring, it's professional, but then sometimes you might need extra support somewhere else, and you're not going to feel comfortable going to a person that may have the information that you need unless you've built that relationship. So I've also used mentors as references because they get to know you, they know what you're working on, they can kind of tell by your personality because they're dealing with you every day. I would ask them for a reference for a scholarship or for a school or for a job. And they would be able to do personal character references for me because they got to know me. So those are just a few of the ways that mentors have come into my life, and I've been able to use them.
Great. Ray Mumtaz would like to know, who was the most influential professor at UW that you had, and why?
They all were influential, but let me think here. I can't even say, they were all very different. But I would have to say that Dr. Honey really was like the most influential to me when I attended, because he demanded that you really do learn in the way that you should learn. It's not just a book, it's not just a reading and just a test. I mean, he really took you there where you had to really engage with people that you may not be comfortable engaging with, talking about things, having those hard discussions around race and equity and society. So I would have to say that at the time that he really was the most influential, I feel, at that time.
All right, and Karina would like to know, what inspired you to connect with an executive coach?
There were some things that I had challenged myself to do, and what inspired me to do that was that the president of the university I was working for, he actually stated that he had an executive coach. And I said, if he has a coach, why don't I have a coach? Because if I'm going to step up in leadership, I want to know what I don't know. Some of those things that we don't know have to do with networking or inside cultures, things that aren't openly shared, or things that you don't prepare for because you don't quite know it's there, or you know it's there, but it's kind of invisible to you. So I went ahead and got in touch with someone who had a coaching business that I knew that he was great because he had pastored in the community. His name is Mike Wilson. And he does consulting and different things like that. So I went ahead and requested to meet with him to see what he offered, and explain to him that I was trying to step up, in leadership, and prepare myself for the next step. And so we met, and that was the end of that. He was great. He pulled everything out. He got me connected to other people who did the same job that I was looking for, the same leadership roles that I was looking for. It really helped because he asked a lot of questions that I had to answer for myself and figure those things out. But he also gave me a different perspective to look at, especially when dealing with power structures. So that's the reason that I reached out to him and then decided to do it. Once I had that first discussion with him, there were so many things that I had to kind of contemplate as I'm stepping into leadership roles.
All right, and Shirley from Katy, Texas, what do you anticipate as the biggest challenge coming up?
This COVID-19. That's the biggest challenge because it really impacts my job and the things that I will be doing. A lot of what I would be doing too is relationship building, different events and things like that, and that would normally be in a social space. I also know that I am a woman, and I had asked, was a woman ever in this role before? And the answer was no. So I was kind of like, how will that look? What will that look like? Some people aren't used to having a woman in certain positions, or they're not used to adapting to it. So one of those challenges I feel would be being a woman in a leadership role. And I think there's a lot of women that have, challenges that exist when they're doing business and leadership roles in their job. So I think that that might be something. But one thing that I like about my team is they pretty much were like, what? Being a woman would make it great for you. You can do so many things and take things to a different level. And I had to look at that and say, you know what, you're right. It actually would be a good thing. So But I do know that challenges can come in business when you are a woman. So I think there might be some challenges that come up, but we'll see. And I'm looking forward to the challenges so I can learn from it and teach others. And but so far it's been great. I haven't had any issues so far, and people have been so welcoming. But that was one of the challenges that I thought would be different, because it does change a culture when you have a woman in leadership. But the woman who I report to, she's a woman. And so I didn't think about that there's already a woman that's like superwoman in the office that that's doing a whole bunch of stuff. And she's been amazing. And so she will be a good role model to look at as I have to report to her. But she is so valuable already to me in this role.
Great. So Candace would like to know, what is something that you would like to develop while in this position?
I hear you under pressure, under fire, under direct fire, and
Sorry about that.
Okay.
I'll repeat the question.
Okay.
What is something that you would like to develop while in this position here at UW Tacoma?
So one of the things that I would like to develop is a way to engage alumni that are global. It doesn't matter where they are. It's they may be in other states, but engaging them on the campus at UW Tacoma. It's hard for them to show up on the campus because they're in a different state. But now that we are virtual, the sky is the limit on that. So one of the things I would like to develop is more opportunities to engage with them. And when our teams are traveling, that they are able to meet those alumni and engage with them. Now, our alumni are very supportive across the globe. They belong to our association, but actually engaging with them, getting to know them and letting them know more about what's going on at the UW Tacoma campus. What I would like to see are some reunions for classes, different classes that graduated from here. There probably have been some in the past, but I would like to see more, and I would like to see some of those alumni that are across the states actually take on roles with that and bringing, coming back home to the South Sound. Because if you think about that, the university started, the first class, I think, graduated in 1990, and some of those people were military. So I am in connection with some alumni who have moved. They moved many years ago, but some of them come back home to visit their families. They stay in touch and they do different things like that. But I think that we can engage them more, especially now in the virtual space. So I am looking forward to developing something with that. Also looking to develop the alumni and student relationship, increasing that. We've done some things on campus already, but increasing that would be great as far as mentoring opportunities and things like that, supporting the students.
What are some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome while navigating your career?
Oh, let's see, there's been many challenges. Navigating my career, I would say taking on new challenges that maybe, I'm always taking on something that people haven't tried. And that's the hardest part, because if it hasn't been tried before, people are really skeptical. Their eyebrow goes up. They're like, what is she talking about? What? That's not going to happen. But so far, the things that I've done when I worked at my various jobs, and I usually stay at my jobs pretty long, but I've created some things that are long lasting. At my last job, I helped create a rewards program to recognize employees. To recognize employees who normally don't get recognized, just to include everyone in getting them recognized instead of the person that's always hitting the high numbers, or the same person gets recognized over and over. So I think about equity, the equity lens, and try to include everyone and make sure we're recognizing people for the simple things, or things that maybe don't hit those numbers, but they're doing great work every day. So those type of things, there's some, and that was a challenge because we had to you have to go to leadership and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And if leadership is not on board, sometimes that becomes a barrier to you. But even being at UW Tacoma helped me learn more about still making sure that I, keep going. Even if somebody says no, okay, let me go back to the drawing board and try something different, but I'm going to make this thing happen, So able to start events and develop new programs and things like that most people were like, that's not going to work, So that's been the main challenges have been doing some unique things or starting some things, just working through that starting process of getting support from the community, getting support from your job, getting support from people. Those have been challenges, but I've been working through them, and it always winds up successful, and I'm happy about that because it's the people that makes it successful. You have to make sure that they understand what you're doing and that they believe in it. If they don't believe in it, that they believe in you, and that takes relationship building. So those have been the challenges, but I am happy to say that I've been able to overcome those challenges.
Great. So there's a question from James McShay. What opportunities do you see available for faculty, staff, and campus units like the Office of Equity and Inclusion or Student Affairs to be in partnership with your office?
I see a lot of opportunities. We have some meetings coming up to talk about those things, and I want to hear ideas and things like that. But some of the things is helping students, once again, engage with alumni, having programs, doing grants that help fund programs and support the different ideas that we have, partnerships in the community. I think that faculty and staff is very key to some of the partnerships in the community, making sure that we're sharing those resources. As far as the different colleges coming together with the different deans and the different faculty there to do alumni events, alumni engagement, see what they're doing, see what they want to do, increasing visibility together in the community, becoming a resource together, and supporting each other. And those are just a few things. There's some more, but I don't want to put too much out there, but I definitely look forward to meeting with the faculty, staff, different departments, and partnering and seeing what we can do together.
Great. Ron Clayton. Hello, I've seen you operate under pressure and I have seen you operate under fire. I'm a calm person, but what in your background or experiences that amazingly allows you to stay calm, keep the course, and finish the job or task?
I would say my faith, because I'm always like, okay, is it worth it to melt down, or is it worth it to, what do I need to do? Breathe and pray. So sometimes I just breathe and pray, but it's also having some grace, knowing that things may not go how you want them, but maybe we can find solutions. It's okay to get upset about something that doesn't work, but under pressure, you can do some great things. They always say, diamonds are made under pressure. And that's true. Anything worth doing is going to have a lot of pressure to it. I think it's my faith mostly, and watching my mother handle things with grace, and understanding that you have to meet people where they are. People may not think like you think. They may be dismissive about certain things. Having conversations and just persisting with, and knowing when to stop. Like if somebody's not listening, maybe going to find someone who can help mediate that situation or help them understand what you're trying to say or do. And I think that kind of alleviates some pressure, is having somebody, a neutral party in the mix, where you can go to them and say, hey, I need a little help with this because this person doesn't understand and we need to get this out today, or different things like that. Yes, I know I've worked with Ron and we've been under pressure together. And so he knows definitely how I am under pressure and what needs to be done and how we kind of figure things out. Or sometimes you might have to drop something that you had planned in your beautiful head that this was going to be perfect, but okay, we're just going to have to let that piece go. So being flexible and adaptable. I think that that's the biggest thing that helps me stay on an even keel.
Yeah, and so that you kind of answer the next question, but maybe there's something else you want to add. Have you identified any strategies that have helped teams embrace change in the workplace?
State that question one more time. I just want to make sure I answer
Sure.
it.
Let's see. Have you identified any strategies that you have found that help teams embrace change in the workplace?
Yes. So one of the main strategies, because of all the different changes I've been through, like I said, I worked with the airlines in the past, and we had 9/11 to deal with, and that changed a whole scope of things. So one of the things that one of the strategies is to make sure that you're telling the story and that people understand it, and also that you're listening, because change can be traumatizing, or it can make you paralyzed. I mean, it's like, they're changing this up. Why are they changing this? Why is this happening? But being able to listen to the other party, if there's like a team involved and you're working with different people, but letting them know that the change is going to happen, but also listening to them to say, well, what do you suggest better? Or what do you feel could be better? So it's important that when change is happening, that you are asking the key people, because there may be people that have been there longer than you, have been there before you, they've seen many different things happen. So they may have something that they're like, well, that didn't work before. And you can ask, well, why didn't it work before? So you start to dig deeper, having those discussions. But at the end of the day, the change will happen if it's something that's already set in place, like we're dealing with now with the COVID-19 and the state making decisions. And we're like, wait a minute, it's going to happen, but just making sure that people have some input to it, or just hearing what people have to say, because there may be something there that can help through that change.